eminence or something.
What's going to come to their rescue? Maybe the stock exchange won't mean won't have the same. Maybe it doesn't mean the same thing anymore. Maybe, the American economy doesn't mean the same thing anymore.
I just think it's a point of view that so many people value that it's just one paper being bought couldn't possibly, one newspaper especially being bought couldn't possibly silence them completely. Somebody else is going to start espousing.
Boo-hooing and going, oh, this is the end of the world.
We're
losing the Wall Street Journal. That's not my point. My point is just it's a significant source of information in the public sphere about what this power structure does. About the machinations of what they do. That's important information. Whether it's not that you have to agree with it or that you're on board with it, or that it's the advice that you want to have, whatever it is. It's information, and because it's for the elite, it's usually less biased than something that's so philosophically tainted as Rupert Murdoch.
Wait, why is it less biased because it's for the elite?
Because they can see through the bullshit more easily.
Because it's telling strictly what's going on, how you should act on the basis of certain things that are going on. So it's reporting certain facts.
If it didn't have
you don't think that facts are valid just because it's facts you don't like?
If the Wall Street Journal did not contain factually useful and relevant information to the people that run the fucking show in this and other countries, then it would not have become the respected and valued publication that it has become. I think that's what Marx, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be overly reverent about it at all. I think it's, they're all pieces of shit and they should die, But
right, but what I'm saying is, by the same token, since the information is so valuable,
I think there's a leap.
Won't somebody else inevitably provide that information?
I asked Dirk. Maybe he'll do it. He's into being the market.
Another major corporation, another newspaper, another media.
Well, you think there's going to be because
there's money to be made.
Forbes or Bloomberg is going to step up and try to hire.
People will inevitably hire some of these people, and they'll wind up other places, and there'll be other ways of negotiating. That's true. It's not going to be in the same form, and it won't have the same potency.
Not right away. Maybe it will be. If the Wall Street Journal doesn't turn into as poor of a news source as their editorial pages have been for the last 5 or 10 years, then people will just stop buying it.
Well, it's a really what it is. It's a kind of schizophrenic newspaper. Not that its news is so liberal or something like but
no, it's useful to the people who buy it.
It's useful to anyone who wants to know what's going on inside those circles.
But it's useful because it's also useful to the people who buy it.
Right, absolutely.
So anything else that's useful to the people who buy it in the same way, the elite business people you're talking about, will be useful to everybody else who wants that. See what I'm saying? Whatever those people
or who wants to know what that
if you want information about that, just read the same thing. And if the Wall Street Journal stops providing it because News Corp has say over who gets hired and who gets fired.
Well, the other part of it is just the fact that the media is consolidated in the way that it is means that there aren't as many possibilities.
That's true.
For things.
Well, I think this is a special case because of what you're saying, because this is something that the elites want. It's not something that they want other people to think. They want this information for themselves. You know what I mean?
Okay, but it's a product to be consumed like any other product. So what inherently makes the elites different in consuming this product from anything else?
They have different information needs.
Okay, but it's still a product.
I don't
that it has a measure of truth to it.
Right.
Maybe one thing, but it's still a product that's packaged to be sold to a specific consumer.
It's not about whether it's true or not. It's just
I don't understand
make more money.
I don't understand the intent behind your
Okay.
At what point are you trying to calculate?
Right. This is a little bit separate point from what you were talking about. I was trying to address. I sort of piggyback on something that you just said. It's information about what the elites want or need or whatever. To get back to the point I was trying to make, you're saying that it has less bias because it's information that the elites use to buy stuff or to make investments or to
Well, to a
control the
certain-
world.
I think that that's true. to a certain
The argument is
extent.
that it must have some type of factual relevance to these people, otherwise it would have no value and thus no one would buy it.
I disagree. I don't see what one thing has to do with reality. I mean, I don't see what that information, that product that is being sold to these consumers has anything to do with reality.
Okay,
I mean,
reality is a very slippery term. I mean, it is information, it is a news source that provides or has provided information that is acknowledged to be useful to the people who are in the high end of the various international power structures.
Okay, so then I'm going to propose to you,
Yeah.
what if this is simply information that helps the elites reach one consensus or another about making the decisions that they already make as a matter of routine? Not necessarily based on fact, but based on consensus of the elites.
I think that that's exactly what it
It's
is.
manufacturing of consent. So this is like anything else, just another product.
But the
I
reason
don't-
it's
I don't-
different.
But that gives you an idea. Excuse me. Go ahead.
No, I'm going to say what you're going to say. I think is that it because it's that it lets anybody else who reads it see exactly what they're thinking. Like it lets you clearly see without the bias of like this is intended for mass consumption or consumption for people who are not the elites. It lets you see what their thought process is. It lets you see what consensus they're reaching.
So you
without
can get a
any
better
assistance.
idea.
This isn't a product of the elites. This is a product for the elites.
By
Like
the
this is
elites, for the elites, yes, for me.
So you get a better idea of reading the Wall Street Journal about what's going on in, say, the economy or in business than you would from reading the daily news. You're not going to get an idea of what what's going on in the economy by reading the story about union leaders fighting each other or or people like calling each other names or other like sleazy business deals or high profile prosecutions by reading the daily news. You get an idea of what's going on in business
I
by
was-
reading a source like the Wall Street Journal.
I disagree. I don't see I think if
So-
you're going to learn something about that unions and what's happening and all that stuff, if you're trusting one source, you're not getting.
I'm not saying anything about trusting that source.
Okay.
Well, yeah, when do we
So-
ever say
so,
anything about trusting one source?
Well, okay, so then
I was just
we're not
using the Wall
saying
Street Journal as a valuable source.
okay.
Because it lets you know what
There-
they're
there-
thinking.
there
and it lets you know
applies-
what they're basing their information on. Because they're using it.
here's my
Okay,
question
so
for you then.
they take their thoughts and they publish them. I thought they were reporting on the stuff that's happening, not the stuff that they're thinking.
I guess
It's a
here's my question
relatively
for you.
self-conscious presentation
what do you
of their
think-
point of view and their philosophy.
What do you think has caused the success of the Wall Street Journal up to this point, if not its utility to these people?
It's a product that appeals to a consumer, a certain class of consumer.
Right.
Much like, I mean,
What causes that appeal? Okay.
I don't know. Whatever it is. Yeah.
Well, my argument, I think our argument is that that appeal, the only sensible explanation for what drives that appeal is the fact that the product has some sort of utility to people attempting to make high scale or large scale business decisions. And if that is true, it becomes very important to the rest of us because we get a peek into what sort of stuff is informing those decisions or providing commentary on those decisions.
Yeah, it's not
I-
that
I-
it
I
necessarily
disagree.
reflects
You may disagree
reality.
that
It just
it's
reflects
true.
it
If-
the way that they see it,
If
unapologetic.
most of the elite are Christians, are we going to start looking at the Bible to find something, important about the elites? No.
because they're.
Well, of
I
course
think
not.
it's
Because the
it's
Bible is
established their capitalism.
What if they're white, Anglo-Saxon,
White
Protestant, and they,
Fine.
read the Bible?
Hey.
I mean,
Okay,
Because Jewish
that's-
people read the Bible.
Listen, no, you
I'm talking
wouldn't.
about the elites.
You wouldn't, but